Hey guys, welcome to the Chen Dynasty. It's Mike Chen. When you look at Chinese history, it's littered with brilliant tacticians, courageous warriors, and benevolent emperors. Women tend to be in the background and are often utilized as pawns because of their beauty. However, the patriarchal system was actually challenged by quite a few women in Chinese history who defied their traditional roles, instead participating in gory battles alongside their male counterparts in order to defend China, often striking fear into their enemies. So here are 6 of the most feared female warriors in Chinese history. Number 1, She Taijun. In the earlier years of the Song dynasty, there emerged a family called the Yang family. The Yang family was a military family filled with fierce and brilliant generals, headed by General Yang Ye. Yang Ye was a Northern Han dynasty general, and after Northern Han surrendered to the Song, he became a well-known general of the Song dynasty, fighting many battles to save the Song from invaders. He was admired for his bravery and loyalty, but other officials eventually became jealous of this. During a particularly fierce battle, he was abandoned by his companion Pan Mei and eventually died on the battlefield. After his death is when Yang Ye's wife He Saihua came onto the scene and became a legend herself. He Saihua was Yang Ye's wife and comrade in arms, fighting alongside her husband in many bloody battles. She only started to stay home after they had children, and she was unable to leave the house. After her husband's death, the emperor relied on her to repel enemy forces, and she did so brilliantly while leading the Yang family into battle. He Saihua also made sure that the person who was responsible for her husband's death was prosecuted in the imperial courts. Emperor Taizong was in awe of her bravery, loyalty, and judgment, and made her the commander-in-chief of his army. He even gave her a dragon head cane that symbolized the emperor. The cane showed that she had absolute control over the imperial army. After He Saihua was advanced in age, she was given the title of She Taijun, or Dowager She, and she was revered by all during her lifetime. Number 2, Mu Guiying. Although She Saihua had a male-dominated army, there were also a few exceptional women within the ranks. One of the most famous female warriors during the Tang Dynasty was Saihua's granddaughter-in-law, Mu Guiying. When Mu Guiying was only 19 years old, she was already equipped with outstanding martial arts skills. Legend has it, she started practicing martial arts at a very young age and learned the esoteric aspects of the art form, taking after her father Mu Ke, an official of the Song court who was eventually wrongfully exiled. It was said that Mu Guiying married Yang Zongbao, the son of the legendary general Yang VI, and together they fought to defeat the Khitan forces. After they destroyed the mysterious Heavenly Gate formation and won, they barely had time to sit down before they were faced with another threat, the Western Xia. During this time, the Yang family's last male general, Yang Wenguang, was killed, and She Saihua was advanced in age. Mu Guiying was the only one left in the Yang family who could lead the troops into battle and defend the Song dynasty. She took the position of supreme commander, and along with the help of a few of her trusty female companions, she took over the imperial Song military and defeated the Western Xia, saving her dynasty from destruction. Number 3, Tang Sai'er. Tang Sai'er was an infamous knight-errant of the Ming dynasty and was chased by the imperial army for decades for being a warrior rebel. Labeled as a martial arts prodigy, she was already a fierce kung fu fighter at the young age of 15. Later, she led a peasant uprising during the Ming dynasty because she wanted to relieve the people of their suffering under the early Ming emperor Chengzu, who forced harsh labor onto hundreds of thousands of peasants from Shandong province, basically making them into slaves. Although she was standing up for the poor and the mistreated, Tang Sai'er was merciless to officials and those of high ranking. After leading an uprising in Qingzhou, she and her followers killed all the local officials, and her army of around 10,000 destroyed government property and executed any imperial officials they met on the way. The furious Emperor Chengzu ordered Tang Sai'er's capture at any price. No one knows exactly what happened eventually to Tang Sai'er. Some say she continued to escape government forces and eventually disappeared. There are others who say she was captured and was tortured to death. Number 4, Fu Hao, or Lady Hao, was one of many wives of Emperor Wu Ding of the Shang dynasty. Not only has she served as a wife and mother, but she was also a military leader. Historians found a lot of information about Fu Hao based on the Oracle Bone text, which was used as good wishes to defeat the enemies in battle. By looking at these inscriptions, they found her amazing achievements and her life story. Although Fu Hao was King Wu Ding's favorite wife, she did not circle her life around the palace palace and instead placed her duties on military campaigns. Fu Hao helped expand the Shang dynasty territory by leading an ambush in which she commanded 13,000 soldiers in the famous documented battle where she defeated the Ba tribe. Fu Hao was also a brilliant politician and advised the king on domestic matters and foreign relations. Wu Ding also instructed her to do something highly unusual for women at the time, to act as a shaman, to perform ceremonies for spirits, and to read the cracks on oracle bones to try to tell the future. Fu Hao was so talented and respected by Wu Ding that even after her death, he would still ask for her spirit's help in battle. Number 5. Xun Guan. During the Qing dynasty, the city Xiangyang was threatened by a revolt led by a man named Du Zeng who threatened to kill the governor Xun Song and all who was loyal to him. Xun Song needed help to defeat the enemy, but nobody volunteered to go off into battle with him, so he had no choice but to go himself. As he was about to venture off, his 13-year-old daughter Xun Guan offered to help him, but of course he said no. Xun Guan pleaded and even presented a plan that actually convinced her father would work, which was to lead the soldiers into a sneak attack at night. So 13-year-old Xun Guan led the soldiers in the night through Du Zeng's forces and they succeeded. After the victory, she convinced the nearby generals to force Du Zeng into retreat. Xun Guan was praised by all and especially of course by her father, for he said that he could not have defeated the enemy without her strategy and clever knowledge. And finally, number 6, Hua Mulan. I think this is someone we're all familiar with, especially because of Disney. But here's the real story of Mulan outside of the talking dragon and her love interest. Hua Mulan wasn't just a nice, elegant, quiet girl Disney imagined her to be. Since she was a child, Mulan practiced martial arts every day and was skilled in wielding a variety of weapons. She was also skilled in horseback riding and archery. Mulan was from the Northern Wei dynasty, and when the Northern Mongols invaded, her father was asked to go into battle. But Mulan's father was very old and ill, so Mulan convinced her father to let her take his place. To not raise suspicion, Mulan dressed as a man, and according to legend, she fought for 12 long years. During that time, she was offered 12 rings as a way to reward her for her skills in battle. After 12 years of fighting, Mulan went home, and it wasn't until she took off her armor and changed into female clothing that her fellow soldiers realized that they've been fighting alongside a female for all those years. You know, one reason I love Chinese historical stories, legends, and myths is that they all try to convey a concept. For example, Journey to the West, when the Monkey King and the monk and their companions travel all the way to India to bring back Buddha's scriptures, they met with countless difficulties, and that became the defining example of perseverance. The stories of the great general Yue Fei, which we will cover in another video, and the Yang family are great examples of loyalty and patriotism. And Hua Mulan, of course, is the defining example of filial piety. And like I mentioned before, if you guys are a fan of Chinese history, Chinese myths, and legends, you gotta go see Shenyun Performing Arts, which is coming around again with their 2016 to 2017 world tour. That's where you can see a lot of these stories told through the use of Chinese classical dance. And I have their information for you guys in my description box below. And thank you guys so much for submitting ideas for this channel. Definitely keep them coming. Thank you all so much for watching this video. See you later.